Hello everyone. My name is Callum Sawatzky and I work at Humber College. I'm actually quite sad because in April I was actually supposed to be in India. So I attend GeeBee's events every year and I'm quite disappointed I didn't have a chance to get there, but hopefully in the coming year I'll have that opportunity. I've been going to India for 10 years and this might be the first time in 1 year I haven't been to your country. So I'm super sad about that.
That's our bad luck, Callum.
It is. Well, no, it's everyone's bad luck. Like I know right now it's hard for students to come over here, so it's a difficult time for everyone. Humber is trying to do as much as we can to help students in this situation. As I think many of you guys know, the May session, the session that has just started, was placed online. That was the same, as I understand, for all colleges who kept the session running. Some colleges completely stopped and they canceled the session. Humber kept the session going, but they did it online. And we hope this kind of prepares us if we need to do an online session for September or a partially online session for September. The decision has not been made yet, whether September will be online, in person, or a combination of both. My honest guess is that the September session will be a hybrid, which means that it could have an online component and an in-person component. So students who are in Canada would be able to attend in person. Students who are not and who cannot get to Canada for whatever reasons, whether that's Indian government policy, Canadian government policy, flights, we would try to make things as flexible as possible. So students can start their semester in September, and then moving forward to January would hopefully be fully in person. But at this point, that hasn't been decided yet. The expected date to make a decision is in June. The exact date, again, we don't exactly know, but we're trying to be as hopeful as possible. And like I said, the guess right now is it will be some type of hybrid. Just starting this May session, we've really learned about what works for students online and what doesn't, and hopefully that will help us to make the September session better if it is a hybrid model. Something I expect is a few students who are in the chat room have already received offers from Humber and are now asking about payment dates. This is probably the most common email I'm receiving in my inbox. Humber has not sent an email back to students yet saying that the payment date has been pushed back, but it has. So the date that most of you have for payment, it should be June 17th. Your offer letter to Humber for September will say you should pay by June 17th. We are going to be a bit flexible with that. Right now, the expected date to push back to is July 8th. An email will go out shortly. Our office has to work with the financial office to make sure we give students accurate information, but there will be a delay in the payment. That question comes up quite a lot. So we know right now Indian banks and in a lot of countries are in lockdown. So it's hard to access that. So we are mindful of that. Another question that's come up quite a lot is students are saying, I can't access my documents. My university's not opening. How do I get my transcripts, my backlog summaries, IELTS? I'll first talk about IELTS. It's always best if you can have your IELTS prepared. So anyone who's already done it, you guys are lucky. But because we know it's hard to do IELTS right now, Humber is accepting Duolingo. We don't know how long we'll accept this test for, but as long as this situation continues, we'll continue to accept a Duolingo test. So if you can't do IELTS, you can do Duolingo. The positive thing, it's a lot cheaper. So if you are applying through the regular stream, we have had students doing Duolingo. So that is an option right now. Humber, and GeeBee knows this, Humber always requires a backlog summary. We always want to see if students have backlogs. During this time, we do not require it. We know right now it's very hard to get a backlog summary from your institution. So at this point, we do not require that. And then the final thing is transcripts. So Humber still needs transcripts to evaluate students. We cannot make a decision on whether a student can come to Humber or not come to Humber without transcripts. So if a student is from high school, we do need to see your official grade 12 transcripts. We know some students will have a delay, but we cannot admit students without those transcripts. For students who are applying for a postgraduate program, you guys can submit your transcripts up to your second last semester. So that means if your program is 3 years, and you have 5 semesters of transcripts, you can still get a conditional acceptance to Humber. But if you only have 4 semesters, we will not consider you. So we still need up to 5 semesters. The other question that's coming up a lot with students who already have offers is about deferrals. So Humber just opened up for January applications 2 days ago. So we've just started. That's also the date we opened up for deferrals. So if you want to defer from September until January, you can do that, and you just go through Humber's contact form. And GeeBee can help you with this. They understand the process well. Please know, as soon as you defer, you will not get an offer immediately. We already have about 1,000 deferral requests. This takes time. So don't freak out if you haven't received your confirmation yet, because it could take up to six weeks. Most students should receive it in 4 weeks, but the process does take time because we have so many students who requested deferrals. For once you come to Canada, this is another really common question that I can only really give a half answer to. We do expect students will have to quarantine for 14 days if they're coming from India or most other countries. Humber's working on this right now. We don't know exactly what the process will be, but we're right now working on a plan to set up a place where students could stay for 14 days in quarantine before they start their studies. The exact details of this are still being worked out, but Humber is keeping this in mind, and it is a very, very common question that we're receiving right now. So we are planning for that. Yeah. I think then I'll leave the COVID related stuff, and I'll just go through a general introduction to Humber, even though I guess quite a few of you guys already know about the institution. So Humber College is located in Toronto, which is Canada's largest city. People will ask exactly where it's located in the city. We are located on the west side of Toronto, but still within city limits. Some people have relatives in Brampton or Mississauga. We're kind of close to both of them, but we are technically still in the city of Toronto. The population of Toronto is close to 6 million. So it does have a lot of people. It's the biggest city. We are the 4th largest city in North America and the largest city in Canada. Toronto is very diverse. If people are worried about safety, we have a very large Indian population and also a very large just general international population. I'm from a small town in Saskatchewan, and it was not diverse. And when I came to Toronto, it was kind of a surprise because people are literally from everywhere. Racism exists, but it's a pretty minor component. People are generally quite welcoming. English is the primary language. People ask if you need French. Technically, there are more people who speak Hindi in Toronto than whose first language is French. So you don't need to worry about that.